So we have been aware of the bollard situation for a long time, and we did indeed harden those target areas where the bollards are. We have patrol cars out there as a hard target, as well as with barriers. Now, I want to share with y'all, if you did not know, that this particular terrorist drove around onto the sidewalk and got around the hard target, where he did have a car there. We had barriers there. We had officers there, and they still got around. Now, the wedges that you see out there as well, we knew that that had malfunction problems. And I want you to understand, let's say we put the wedge up and it got stuck. There is no way that ambulance could get in or out. People couldn't get in and out. So we knew that these were malfunction. So we did indeed have a plan, but the terrorist defeated it.
Yes, we did have a vehicle strategically placed right in front of the wedge, preventing access onto the roadway.
And in terms of the framework of security that was already in place on Bourbon Street, I know this is an ongoing project of improvement, but with how that was all aligned, was someone getting up on a sidewalk considered impossible or nearly impossible, or was this not something you expected you would have to account for?
Of course, it wasn't something we expected to account for. The bollards they're actually wedges. They're strategically placed 5 locations throughout the French Quarter on the roadway. This particular terrorist drove onto the sidewalk behind the police car to gain access to the 100 block of Bourbon Street.
So if you're worried about someone ever driving down Bourbon Street, why weren't you worried about someone driving up the sidewalk in the same way, or at least bracing for you the same way?
Okay.
Yes.
All right, look. We could go on what ifs forever. This is evil. And that guy could have easily gone down the sidewalk of Canal Street, where there were a ton of pedestrians on there as well.
And there are
That's right.
on some
No, right.
sidewalks, so that's,
Right.
Hold on a second. We gotta move on.
Just want you to know, however, we recognize, I said earlier, that where there are defects in this system, we are going to be transparent, and we are going to address them with the city and make sure that we fill those gaps as best we can.
Having worked in New York, having helped to secure Times Square for New Year's Eve, what do you make of that conversation? That the ballards were malfunctioning, that they are working on replacing them for Super Bowl, that they weren't ready yet, but a patrol car was there. Essentially, it all leads up to, but he drove around the sidewalk, and it almost seems like they're throwing their hands up. Is that an acceptable excuse, that he drove on the sidewalk, and so this kind of thing can happen that easily?
It really is unacceptable, because this happened in New York City in 2017, May 8th, 18th of 2017. We had an individual pop a curb and hit 20 people, killing 1. So immediately thereafter, there was no bollards out there. And we immediately directed that cement barriers be put up on the sidewalks until we could install bollards. It's not a simple process. It has to go a certain feet into the earth. But when you do that, so this is one thing I was a little surprised this came up at this point. There's a failure here. There's no question, it's a security failure. And so if he defeats that car and pops the sidewalk, why wasn't there some device there? And you could put a cement block there for that matter, temporarily until you get your bollards fixed. So I was surprised at that. That's a mistake. They admitted it. The chief admitted it. It was a mistake of the lapse of security, and it created this incident that could have been stopped. And why didn't the car pursue? There's a lot of incidents here.